Hey, you guys. All right. As promised, back again. This is part two, continuing the talk from yesterday. Um, the video I posted, I titled it Wisdom in Our Pain, because that's actually what I got off talking about first. And then at the end, I got into the topic of addiction versus narcissism and the question that so many people have when they find themselves in a toxic relationship with certain characteristics starting to happen to them. Y'all bear with me. I'm trying to touch up my makeup here. The question that so many people have, the main question that so many people have is my partner a narcissist? And we're going to really break this down in this video, okay? The confusion, the questions we have, the way to discern and to, some of my insight, what I've seen and what I have gone through and how I figured certain things out. So we're going to break that down, okay? That main question that people ask, how do I know, this panic attack? Is this just drug addiction or alcohol addiction? Is this something that will heal? Can this get better? And then, of course, we are led to go to the internet. This will be after we're starting to see some strange characteristics, not just fighting, not just average couple stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And we are led to start researching because this is weird. It's been going on. And we start finding out, a little bit here and there about narcissistic behavior and narcissistic abuse. And our main question is, oh my God, does my partner have what they're talking about, what they're describing, narcissistic personality disorder, which can't be treated, can't heal, they rarely change. It is devastating for anyone to find out that, but that's the main question that most people have when they're in that situation is, I need to know, like, oh my God, is this the kind that won't heal? Is this the cluster B personality disorder, which is a mental illness? Is it that, or does my partner have hope that they're not always, is there any hope that they will not always treat me this way? That they can be reached, that they will stop this mistreatment and lack of empathy. And, if they're addicted, then that is also a question that comes to mind. Is this just because of their addiction that's making them act this way? Or is this something really serious back there on top of their addiction? Okay, so we're going to get into all that, guys. I took some time last night to write some stuff out, write down a few key points that I thought you guys would want to know or be interested in. And this video is specifically for one of my viewers, Anna, because I was going through my comments the other night and she specifically requested this. And so I started the first part yesterday and I didn't, get into it enough till the end of the video. So I told you guys in that other one, I would get right to it. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. We're about to get right into it. I do want to say, let me grab my coffee, you guys. I do want to say that, as I always let y'all know, I'm not a professional. My videos are just, I'm here for educational and entertainment purposes only, okay? But as I, talked about in the first part of this, I listed off what I've been through, what I have observed, what I have experienced for years. My professional therapist and all of the things that I have learned over the years about this type of thing. It's all in my family. It's basically everybody I've ever known or loved has either been an addict or had a mental illness, personality disorder, or trauma, okay? It's been around me all my life. All right, guys, so let's get into it. The main question, okay. So some of us will be in relationship situations, right? And we start noticing strange, hurtful, bizarre personality traits in this person, in our partner, that we don't really understand. It's just unusual stuff, you know, that doesn't actually, that just doesn't seem very mature, okay? It seems like something's a little off, right? And this is, you know, whether the partner is an addict or not. And it may start out light, gaslighting, denying, oh, I didn't do that. No, I didn't say that. Knowing damn well they did. It may start out with light things like that. Boundary breaking, which that stuff's bad enough. And then progress. You may see it progressing over time into far worse, sadistic type of behaviors. Things like enjoying. You may start noticing that they are enjoying this. You may start picking that up in their energy with this little smirk or the just certain goofy ways that some of them have about them when they are too high on the narcissistic spectrum or generally narcissistic personality disorder. I've noticed a difference, okay? If it's just high tendencies and they do not have the cluster B personality disorder, I've noticed a difference. They don't seem to have that smirking, goofy, duping delight. They don't seem to be quite as, and I think there's a reason for that, because one is a mental illness. A part of their brain is not all the way developed. It isn't firing in that department correctly all the way. One of those is a mental illness, which is going to cause them to act quite a bit more out there than the person who is just addicted and acting out nasty out of character because of their addiction, or and very high on the narcissistic spectrum because of it, because of either the addiction, or because if they're not an addict, or because they have childhood trauma, they have some kind of wound that they, you know, and they have not evolved through that stuff yet. And they're just very high on the narcissistic tendencies. And once they go to therapy, whatever, what have you, they, you know, have a chance at working through that stuff. Okay, so I have seen some variations there that I think, because I've observed this stuff a long number of years with a lot of different people in my family and otherwise. But you'll notice, yeah, you got a partner and it may start progressing into they enjoy your pain, your distress. There's smirking. There doesn't seem to be any remorse, any empathy. You'll notice games, things like they like to triangulate. You may start noticing that they like to play all sides of the fence and pit people against each other and triangulate other people into your relationship and get everybody pissed off at everybody so they can sit back and have a field day and smirk and feel real big about themselves and empowered, because that's the only way a lot of them can ever get power, especially the covert. All right. So you may notice things like that. This is when you're, you know, first coming into the realization that there's something wrong with your partner. This is when you're first starting to go, damn, you know, I need to look this up. I need to see what the hell's going on. You may notice things progressing, strange behaviors, passive aggressive issues. I'm not by far, I am not listing every criteria and characteristic for narcissistic personality disorder or any of that. This is just kind of a light summary that I'm going through here, okay? You'll have to do a lot of research on it because it's kind of a big deal, but you may notice webs of people, weird networking type that they like to do because they like to get reactions, constant reactions from people. And they like to keep a lot of people on backup just in case. Like, I'm not going to break all that down, but, you know, the backup plans and the backup supply and all that. But, you know, highly narcissistic people and people with NPD, they have very shallow connections to people, to their partners, to their family. And so it's not quality for them, it's quantity. I noticed that a lot. that with that type of individual, especially if it's the full-on disorder, quantity over quality. They don't give a shit about how deep it is, the caring, the sharing, the more the merrier for their ass. They want every fickle damn connection on earth they can have. And it's so interesting to them, and it's so fun, and they're obsessed with it, and they love this banter and small talk and a fickle few seconds of because they live to get that hit of reaction. Just 5 seconds of, somebody praising them, or somebody making them feel like a good boy or a good girl today, or 5 seconds of anything, tripping somebody up in a conversation and getting them pissed off, or they'll take any of it, okay? And that's what they like. It's all about reactions for these narcs. A lot of them, okay? But you may notice this behavior, some of it. This is not nearly all of it. And your specific relationship will be different from mine and everybody else's, okay? But this is just kind of a summary and outline. Childlike, you may notice that. Tantrums, pouting, certain behaviors like that. And then, the question, all right, when our heart sinks and we are driven to research, when this starts happening in a relationship behind closed doors, and, sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes they will hide this for years. You'll think that they are one type of individual when you're first involved in dating them or going out with them or getting to know them. They will play that shit off, and you will really think you're getting involved with a certain type of frequency and individual. And then as time goes on, it might be a year, might be 2 years, might be 5 years. Just depends. If you start living together, getting in close quarters all the time, slowly over time, you're going to start. They have no choice. That's why the romantic partner knows more than anybody. That's why I don't care if it's their friends they went to school with or they've known for 30 years. I don't care if it's their family. The romantic partner, the target, the person they target, will always know more about them than anyone. Because that mask has to come down at some point behind closed doors. And it's going to. Especially if they're addicted, if they drink, if they do drugs. They will have a very hard time keeping their mask on, okay? So then you get to the point where you have this question, like, what the fuck? Okay, I've talked about how it can take years. And a lot of times, like I say, they'll slowly build up to this tormentative, little bits at a time. A lot of times they'll do it and then back off, and especially the covert, because they're terrified of you abandoning them. They don't want to run you off, so they'll give you a little bit of torment and then back off. And I'm sorry. They'll give you some fake empathy, fake sorry. I would never hurt you. I'm sorry. And then they'll do it again. That exact same thing. I mean, it'll just be just like that, like just torment. And so you'll notice that happening. They don't want to give it to you all at once because they damn sure don't want you jumping ship. Okay. But what happens is they wait. There's more to come, unfortunately. There's more to come. And if only we knew, but that's how it'll go for a while. And then as the years go on, they are testing you. They will be testing you to see how much of that bullshit you're going to take, how much you can handle, how much you can tolerate of the sadistic, tormented shit that they want to put on you, because that's what's happening to them. And they want to put it on you, and they want to make sure you're the right candidate for it. They will test the boundaries. They will do all kinds of things. And then, I'm sorry, and then finally, after a few years, everybody's going to be different. Everybody's case will be different. But finally, after a while, they will feel comfortable enough to reveal to you the horror show that they really are. And when they do finally drop that mask entirely, you'd be like, damn, okay, oh my God, this is so disappointing and betraying, and you just about lose your mind because you've been living with this person all along. Your heart's been there, and what? You'd be like, damn, okay, put the mask back on then, okay? Y'all could at least do that shit. Hell, damn, at least. Holy shit. I mean, you know, not to make a joke out of this serious shit, but I was thinking that at one point. I was like, I went through that shit with this one particular person for 6 years, covert narcissism and all this torment and all this sadistic shit. And I was like, holy shit, this is what you really are? This is what you really want to do? This is how you want to act? This is who you want to be? This is what you gravitate towards? The complete opposite of what you introduced yourself as. The complete opposite interests and wavelength and values. And really, I'm like, damn, man. And I still loved him. I loved his essence, but I didn't like him. And I told him that. I love you dearly, but I don't like you. I don't like what you're doing. I don't like what the fuck you stand for. I don't like your personality at all. You are a phony. You're a poser. And this is wrong. This is not what you told me you were about, what you were into, these behaviors. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Yeah, and I was very honest about that. So they will do that to you, though. They will wait until they know, especially the covert. Now, the grandiose, malignant, community, there's a bunch of different categories. They will act a little differently. They are not as low self-esteem and as, you know, needy as the covert narcissist. But that covert, vulnerable narcissist, they are terrified you're going to abandon them. And they want so badly to be perceived as nice. You know, they will argue your ass into the dirt that they didn't do it. That they are the sweetest, nicest. They don't know what you're talking about. Okay. And even when they do drop the mask all the way and feel comfortable enough, they still really don't feel all the way comfortable. They're like, what? Somebody called them, who was it? Somebody called them a failed narcissist one time. That the covert narcissist really operates more like a codependent, like a toxic, weak codependent. And basically they fail at narcissism. Like they don't even have the confidence to, they're just so eaten up with, oh my God, inferiority and, oh, the whole world owes me and everybody's better than me. And I just want to knock them all down. They don't deserve it. I do. And even their partners, anybody around them, they feel this. It's in their brain, man. And so they definitely do not want it all drops. Feels confident with who they are, whether they're stepping on you or not, whatever, and they just don't care. They have that confidence that are a lot of times over. Anywhere, not on a healthy level, not on a highly narcissistic level. They don't feel comfortable with confidence, with any of the healthy things that we need for our ego. And they also don't really feel comfortable with arrogance. They don't feel comfortable with, so that's why they only do it to you behind closed doors. They're cowardly like that. They're very low, and they would never let a whole bunch of people see them proudly, arrogantly walking through anywhere, because that would fuck up their game. That would fuck up the way that they act so pathetic and play everybody out and play on everybody's emotions. And that's how they go around sucking their power. The poor, pitiful, wounded victim always. All right, so that's what I'm saying. That covert is different. They don't ever really feel all the way comfortable with anything in their own skin at all, ever, on any level. But it's kind of like frog boiling, guys, okay? So they could drag it out for a long time. They will be testing the water with you, okay? Turning that temperature up a little bit more as time goes on, until you don't even know what's been happening, and it's too late for your ass to jump out of the pot, because you've already been so emotionally invested in someone's personality that's not real. They don't have all that stuff, and it's hurtful. It's a nightmare. All right, so a lot of times they will oscillate between manipulation and narcissistic rage. Meaning they oscillate between manipulation or narcissistic rage, one or the other. And that means they oscillate between, oh, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I love you. Please don't leave me. I'll do anything you want. You're so special. That's the manipulation. I'm sick. Please don't leave me. Don't leave me like this. You know I have wounds. Manipulation. And if you're not buying that, and you're not having it, and you set a boundary, you're sick of being done that way, you're sick of them exploiting everything about themselves, their pain, their wounds, everything, they're using it, and you set a boundary, then they will jump over into narcissistic rage mode. Only those two. They're always either manipulating and sucking up and whatever. It's not sincere. Never sincere. And if they don't get what they want like that, they jump to narcissistic rage mode. And that will be different for every person who has this. Some of them, it will look like just what it sounds like. It'll be just pissed off and rageful and stomping around and slamming things. Some people actually physically attack you. But don't get it twisted. There's a lot to narcissistic rage that is considered narcissistic rage that a lot of people don't think of, or that they're not aware of. It's not just what it sounds like. It doesn't always have to be aggressive. Narcissistic rage also includes things like pressuring you over and over. They will switch out of manipulative mode and change tactics to, oh, come on, you promised. You're going to let me down like that? You're going to do me? Come on, man. Come on. I'll give you some money if you'll do it for me. Okay? Yeah. They will switch tactics into pressuring you into the thing that you have said no about, or whatever. Pressuring, tantrums, asking you over and over, pouting, moaning about it, any number of those things. It doesn't necessarily just have to be violent rage. All of those things are considered narcissistic rage, from switching over to the manipulative tactic to these other tactics to get what they want. And that's the only two emotions they really stay in and out of on a regular. Nowhere in that is genuine, heartfelt empathy, sincerity, integrity, compassion, love, and feeling you. Now, I'm not saying they can't love, okay? We've heard from a lot of different narcissistic personality types. We've been around them. And I'm not saying that people with certain types of personality disorders cannot experience a feeling of love or what they think is love. They do have feelings, but, you know, you have to study this stuff very deeply, observe it, be around it to really understand it. But they are not capable of coping with those types of feelings. They are not capable of going deep enough to even appreciate that feeling. And the minute that any type of overwhelming or deep feeling comes up in them, the only thing they know to do is go to a quick extreme to protect themselves, to get those defenses up quickly, because they are not comfortable with depth of emotion like that, okay? And there's a lot more that could be explained about that and gone into, okay? So this is just a light summary. All right, so we find the information when we start researching, right? And we wonder, we've talked about that. We wonder when we start searching, and we start wondering, is my partner a full-on narcissist? Do they have the cluster B personality disorder or not? Now, we talked about that, what the main question is. Give me a second, guys. Okay. And like I said in the beginning, there are certain differences that I began to pick up on. And now, just to be reminding you guys, I have mentioned before, all of my siblings have personality disorders. Several of my partners have had. My mother has a personality disorder. So did my father. And I've had to navigate these different personalities and observe them, interact with them. I'm 46 years old. So plus I've had my therapist break this down for me to help me understand it better. So, you know, that's where a lot of this is coming from. And let me go cut this air conditioner up, guys. I'm getting hot. Woo, it's hot. It's actually not hot today outside, though. I live in the deep south, and usually it's like jungle hot down here, but it's about 80 degrees today, I think. It's nice. It's almost like springtime. Okay. So, yeah, like my mother, for instance, she has some type of dissociative disorder. All of our testing was done with the same therapist years ago. And my mother was diagnosed with a personality disorder, but my therapist was telling me it's an old type of disorder that's not even in the DSM anymore, something like schizoid or something like that. But then I believe it was changed to dissociative. She has something really going on from a lot of trauma, but getting deeper into her childhood, which I'm going to make a video about, and I may have her on to give us some insight. Going back into her childhood, there are certain reasons why I think she was already that way before she got into the trauma with my father. So this stuff gets pretty deep, but my mom, she is also on the high on the narcissistic spectrum. As far as I know, she doesn't have full-blown NPD, but she does have a personality disorder. And I have noticed many of the same narcissistic tendencies, very high tendencies in my mother. Lack of empathy, lack of connection, games, gaslighting, certain things I've noticed in her that I also noticed in my past partner. You know, I've watched these things over the years and had to navigate. And a lot of times with the actual personality disorder versus, okay, just a person who has really high narcissistic tendencies, they've got an addiction on their back, or they're just a person who's been through a lot of shit in their life and they haven't resolved a lot of their trauma and they're just being an ass. They're high on the narcissistic spectrum. The difference there that I've noticed is with the full-on personality disorder, it's almost like if you've been around them long enough, you'll know. It is so out there, and there is no reaching certain parts of their brain. There is no reaching it. None, okay? It's very hard to reach that in them. They just cannot understand certain things, like empathy, for instance. And I've noticed with my mother and my ex-partner, I have had to spend a lot of time over the years explaining to them what empathy is and kind of going over why they don't feel it, like why they don't just naturally react to certain things with a little more feeling and a little more empathy. And you know, it's because both of them have been highly traumatized, and both of them have personality disorders, and their brain, it's just not there. It doesn't automatically occur to them like it does us. And I'm not excusing their behavior on any level. I'm not justifying any of that. Don't dare, no. But this is about education. This is about understanding some shit here, you know? Because, you know, some people, I couldn't just throw them away. Like my own mom, I have to be able to navigate this stuff. I have to be able to understand it. And so, yeah, sometimes I would notice that both my mom and my ex-partner, they would look truly bewildered when I would, hey, you know, why are you acting this way? Why don't you feel things like other people? Like, you know, they'll be on some whole other planet and not doing it maliciously. Now, this is very tricky. I've observed over the years, this is what throws people off about these personality types. They are so known for being malicious and having fun. The full-blown personality disorder, they are so known for actually having fun at your distress, having fun watching you suffer, getting off on it, getting the reaction, ha, ha, ha. And sometimes people just high tendencies can act like that too, without the personality disorder. But to me, they won't be nearly as severe about it as the person with the full-blown disorder. You follow? Okay. Because I remember back in my youth, before I was healed from my trauma and I was less mature, I remember having high narcissistic tendencies and feelings from all that abuse and whatnot before I had gotten treatment and therapy and grown. And I remember in my younger years feeling that feeling of, what are y'all so happy about? Why are you so happy? And I remember there would be times where, like, I had a roommate way back then, and my sister and I, just because of our own pain, we would pick at him, and we would find it funny. And when you're in that brain state and you're that immature and you're hurting and in pain, and that's all you've really ever known is people interacting like that and being sarcastic and hateful and picking on each other and making jokes of it, but you're really picking away at that person, making fun of them, and kind of being, it's kind of a tormentative streak. That is from unhealed trauma. Okay, and I'm just to, you know, I want to let you guys know, it's not always the full-blown personality disorder. A lot of people that are in really high amounts of pain, torment, I think at that time my boyfriend had been cheating on me or running off and leaving me. A lot of times, anybody in high emotional amounts of pain, low emotional intelligence at that point, low emotional maturity at that point, not evolved yet, not having the years on me in therapy yet. Okay, a lot of times, yes, people will act that way. Okay, but it comes in degrees. The degree to which I did it was nothing near the way a person with the full-blown narcissistic personality disorder would do. I do not have that. I have a different diagnosis. I have PTSD and I have an anxiety disorder. I do not have NPD. So you kind of get what I'm saying here. There are little distinctions that have to be made. But here's what throws everybody off, is that a lot of times these types of people, a lot of times it is deliberate. They're enjoying it. And then other times it wasn't deliberate. Wasn't deliberate at all. They were just being clowns, just being their detached, aloof, goofy, not paying attention, can't feel anything around them, on their own choo-choo train, oblivious and caught off guard, and they really didn't know. They just hurt you, or they just disrupted you, or they just broke a boundary. And then we will step to them and call them out, and they really do look hurt or bewildered. And I can tell the difference, okay? I can. Some of you may be able to too. I've been around it for so long with my mother, with my ex-partner, with other people in the past, family. I can tell the difference when they are doing it on purpose and when I've got them truly bewildered and they didn't realize it because their brain is like that. When you don't have empathy, not only do you not feel things as deeply as others when you don't have enough empathy, but at the same time, you don't pick up on things the way other people do. You don't pick up on nuances, and things go right over your head, and you don't pick up on energy across the room. And, you know, a lot of times they're not listening and they don't remember what you said, and they just walk right over the top of you like you weren't even standing there and not even thinking about it. And, oh, oops. And then when you confront them, so I have to find a stopping point with my mom. Sometimes we get into it, and, you know, sometimes I can see the bewildered look on her face, and that's when I stop. I can tell the difference, and I know when she's doing it on purpose too and getting a kick out of it. But I stop when she starts looking puzzled and bewildered, because I don't like to keep on to people when they're down, when they're confused, when they really don't know what I'm talking about. When I can sense, I can read energy very well on my close ones. And you kind of have to be able to do that to distinguish. This keeps people really thrown off, and most people want to just say one or the other. All narcs do it always on purpose. It's always on purpose. It's always on purpose. They know what they're doing. They get off on it. And I don't want people to do that, because you're going to miss some shit if you're only looking at it from that one perspective and thinking it's that only one way. And then you're going to be around one and you're going to miss it, or you're going to miss out on some actual facts because you weren't aware of the fact that it's not just like that. It's both. It depends on the individual. And a lot of times it's both. It's both. They meant to sometimes and they didn't mean to in this particular situation, okay? And then we're all coming down on them and, you know, why yada yada. And it was just because of their brain disorder and them being so goofy and aloof and can't read energy, and, you know, and it pisses us off. But a lot of times it's just that. They didn't mean to. And I don't go any further with persecuting them at that time. I don't like that. This video is getting on up here, man. 40 minutes. I thought I was going to be able to fit all this into 2 parts. But I guess I'm going to have to break it into 3 parts, okay? But I'm hoping that I covered some ground for you guys with this topic. And I've definitely got a couple more points to break out for you guys. But yeah, I thought that was an important point to make, because a lot of people get confused as to they always know what they're doing. And this can put us in a lot of distress. So I think it's very important for us to know these distinctions, that no, they don't always know. And, you know, how can we navigate that? Because another thing is, I found with my mother and my ex-partner, not only from the trauma and the brain damage from the trauma they've been through over the years, the total checkout, detachment, and the narc personality situation, personality disorders, I found that I had to literally, my own mother and my partner was like this too, I was having to constantly remind them of things. Constantly remind them, and I could tell that they just didn't know. It never occurred to them. I would have to remind them about this boundary, or we don't do that in public. That's not appropriate. Or you know, interrupting people, or just all types of, you know, things that most people are self-aware enough to know and discipline within themselves and read the room. And I would find myself having to constantly teach my mother and my partner these things and remind them, you're stepping over your boundary. You're stepping on boundaries. You forgot hey, this is that, just the aloof. And so I want y'all to know that they're all different. It's not always one way or the other. They all know what they're doing and they're all very aware of it. And they all, especially with that disorder, full-blown disorder, a lot of times, no, they don't. No, they don't know it. They don't have it in their brain. It doesn't even occur to them. And they truly are bewildered when you say, huh? What? And, they don't understand certain things. And it's really that way. And I think it makes some of them very self-conscious. Very self-conscious. That's why they try to put on this front, because they don't want to feel like a dummy. They don't want everybody making fun of them. They don't want to, they're just so, y'all. I hope you've gotten some kind of value out of this. I'm trying hard with the content, you guys. I will get up part 3 to finish this up, because I have a couple more points to go, get on back to the addiction part versus narcissism and some differences we can see. And just elaborate a little bit more on that for Anna and the girl that wanted to know, and my other viewers that might be interested in it. I appreciate you guys for watching. Hit like and subscribe. Leave me a comment if you guys want to, if you enjoyed the video. And please share. And I will see you guys in part 3.